And welcome back, everyone, to the week of What If. Today's What If comes to us from Shadows82, who asks the question, what if Mai played the Valkyrie deck that, oh crap, it's not Leon. It's the bad guy in the Grand Tournament arc. I actually can't remember his name. But point being, what if she played that deck instead of the Harpy deck? So this deck is very much about it has a lot of shenanigans going with it. But hold on, Valkyrie deck Yu-Gi-Oh! The main focus of the archetype is its light fairy monsters and 2 wind fairy monsters. Siegfried, that was his name. Then Siegfried, and let me see here, the design, or origin, concept, naming issues. What is a play style? Thank you. The whole concept of the deck. The effect of the Valkyrie decks are very, stupid freaking every damn time. This varies slightly, but usually revolve around special summoning the Valkyrie monsters, pinpoint removal of opposing monsters, increasing the attack. Those are your basic ones. There are shenanigans that can be had in there, though. For example, using like the ring combination to basically exile cards from your opponent's deck before you even get to draw them. Basically controlling your opponent's draw, more or less. Using Ride of the Valkyries, for example, as an all-out tactic to perform a zero attack. Form an O to EK basically in one turn. Brahuna is an ace that may rolls to punish swarms by increasing the attack. I believe that one's designed around dragons. Then you have the Mistress of the Time Goddess. You have other abilities as well. Like, it's a very, very tricky deck. And unfortunately, if you were expecting this to be similar to like when I did the Yu-Gi-Oh! Lead swaps and I actually have the cards on the battlefield, sorry to disappoint. I really should do that again at some point. It's just that particular one, at least based on the stuff I have available, takes a long time to do and do right. So it's one of those things that I probably will do it. I've already been in Yu-Gi-Oh! Lead swapping. Jaden being the lead in Duel Monsters and Yugi being the lead in GX. Which means whatever the next lead is, that is going to be very different. My guess, if I did it again, it's probably going to be Yusei would be the next, because he is arguably almost as popular as Yugi. He's frankly more popular than Jaden by most standards. He's a more liked protagonist. But anyway, so what if Mai did play this deck in the actual anime? So we have to essentially look at each and every one of her duels to figure that out. We won't skip Duelist Kingdom. We'll just say Yugi won that because, again, this is before the actual rules came into effect. So what duels do we know she actually duels in Duelist Kingdom? Well, she was it. The Jean-Claude Van Damme guy who wanted to fight her, that's an anime-exclusive duel. So that duel really doesn't matter. She would still probably win. In fact, I could see her totally OTKing him right out the gate, which would be hilarious. No, her only duel in Battle City that we know of was against Merrick. So if I find Mai versus Merrick real quick, how does that duel actually break down? And again, I don't have the deck for the Valkyrie here, like Siegfried's deck, but we know his playstyle, Mai versus Merrick. So we know his playstyle, we know how it went down, we know how he generally plays. And we know how Mai and all that, and how Merrick goes. Merrick, by the way, when you really break it down, relies almost completely on Shadow Duel shenanigans. Now, to be fair, he did generally outright beat Mai. He did, because Mai didn't know the secret of the Winged Dragon Raw, and she tunnel visioned. Because, as everyone kind of points out, had she just attacked with the Harpy ladies, she would have won. But no, okay. So, Mai started the turn off. She'd play one of the Valkyrie cards, probably set a card. Okay, then it was Merrick who played Revival Jam. He played in defense mode, played Jam Breeding Machine. He summons anything, and that was basically it. And then it would have been my turn again. And obviously she was unaware of Revival Jam's effect. And in the anime, he doesn't have to pay the effect for Revival Jam. So, but, so that's going to be a problem. What she needs is one of the Valkyries that can remove something from the battlefield, or one of the card effects that can do it. I'm not saying she'd have it now. I'm saying she could get it to counteract him the first time. So it'd probably play out very similar. She has the Valkyrie, tries to attack, it does nothing, and he goes next. He draws Pot of Greed, draws Jam Defender and Track Removal, activates Jam Breeding Machine to special summon a token, sets a card. Kaiba explains the Mokuba. The Jam Defender allows Merrick to switch the target of Mai's attack, blah, blah, blah. She drew Harvey's Feather Duster there. She doesn't have that because she's more or less playing Siegfried's deck. That's what she's doing. But what she could do is actually draw the card, one of the cards that allows her to exile Jam Breeding Machine, Revival Jam, which, great, wonderful. She'd exile it, slam him for a lot of life, great. He'd play Milk at the Fourth-Face Beast, and then tribute that for Mass Beast Descardius. Now, that would be a problem, because while the Valkyrie deck certainly has destruction capabilities, it would be difficult for her to give... Hell, she struggled against this thing hard in the actual duel. Because he played Mass Beast Descardius. She used Mirror Wall, and then she took the Mask of Revenant, and more or less. And so she didn't struggle against hard. She lucked out and had Mirror Wall is what she did. If she didn't have Mirror Wall, which she doesn't here, she needs one of the Valkyries that can do some other shenanigans. And that would be insanely tough. Because the OTK doesn't actually happen very often with that deck. Basically, it would all... Do I think she could actually beat him? Yes, I think she could. In fact, by all accounts, she should have beaten him. But do I think she would beat him? Because of the whole shadow... Luckily, this shadow duel is not anything all that drastic. So, you know what? I would say no. I don't think she would lose. Or, sorry. I would say yes. She probably does win here. Which means she does take his Winged Dragon of Ra. Now, unfortunately, this doesn't actually banish Evil Merrick or anything like that. Evil Merrick is still around. So, it's going to be up to Odeon, Good Merrick, Ishizu to kind of rein him in. And she now has the Winged Dragon of Ra. Which would now mean that next duel... First off, she's probably part of the virtual world arc. She still loses like everyone else. But now she is a member, and now she's in the finals. And the question just comes down to, who's fighting who? And obviously, Kaiba wants to fight Yugi, so I have a feeling it would be Mai versus Joey. Now, based on how that duel went, how would that go? Well... Joey would actually be able to do things like bring out Jinzo early, for example. He's not going to be as playing cautiously as he did against Merrick. If anything, it's going to be a real sportsman-like match between the two of them. Her Valkyries are still tough, but again, he has things like Scapegoat to save his ass. Do I think he would have won there? His deck isn't as good as when he fought Siegfried, and he still lost to Siegfried is the problem. I actually think Joey loses still. Because, again, her deck, I think, is just the better deck. And, again, Joey... And, yeah, his deck is not even as good as it was in the Grand Tournament arc. So, yeah. He'd still win. Kaiba would still... Yugi would still beat Kaiba. And then him and Mai would duel. Now, luckily for Yugi... we never saw him fight Siegfried, which is kind of a disappointment. But I do think he actually would outright beat... Not outright, but I think they would struggle. But because of Egyptian gods and the way those work and how they're immune to most monster effect magic and all that in the anime, the minute he's got a god card out, she's toast. And I do believe he would get a god card out before her, because if she tries to bring out the Winged Dragon of Ra, she's going to find out it's not going to work. So... And she probably would do that, too. So, ultimately, I got to go Yugi in that match. But she still makes it to the second... She still makes it as the second highest duelist there is. So I don't see her going into the into say the Waking the Dragons arc, which is the only other arc she's in, and being a member of the Orichalcos. I don't see that happening. Like, she got to prove herself. She beat Joey. Joey's just like, you beat me, Mai. I mean, he still would put up a great duel. He's still a tricky duelist based on his deck. So ultimately, he'd still put up a great fight, but it would be with respect and honor, not with anything. She doesn't have the trauma of the Shadow Realm there, so yeah. And then Yugi probably pulls some shenanigans to get rid of evil Merrick. So if anything, she probably is a duelist who the Orichalcos just steals the soul of eventually. She maybe takes out some minor Orichalcos chumps, like the old guy whose name I can never remember. But overall, I don't think she would be part of the Orichalcos organization. In the end, if she was playing a Valkyrie deck, which would have been a little more advanced for Battle City at the time, she probably would have had a really good run. Because Merrick, like I said, is actually not the best. Like, he's really not the best duelist in the world. He relied on, in his duel night, he relied on the fact that she was going to tunnel vision for the Egyptian God card and try to play it knowing she couldn't play it. If she had just stopped and thought, she would have won that duel. Bakura, he did outright beat. But Joey, all he's relying on with Joey is the fact that he's causing Joey such severe pain throughout the entire duel that he's hoping Joey's just going to collapse. He used his Egyptian God card's ability to cause severe pain. And ultimately, Joey, if he hadn't passed out, if he just made it in our 10 seconds, would have straight out won that duel. He outright beat Merrick at his own game and outright won. So the only reason he fails is because of shadow shenanigans. And then in battle, against Yugi, Merrick admittedly was putting him on the back foot for a while, but again, he was putting both of their souls at risks, both Good Merrick and Yugi at risk all the time. So he, he's trying to get leverage, and even then, Yugi played Ragnarok on him, and he ultimately won the duel because Merrick ultimately his turn was over. That's all it was. Yugi would have attacked, and that would have been game. So if Maya had run a Valkyrie deck, she probably would have been a lot more prevalent in terms of as an opponent in Battle City and all that, and her arc would have probably ended a lot more in her favor. So anyway, that's my thoughts. But what do you think if she actually had a Valkyrie deck? Let me know. But until then, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.